Hi guys, welcome to today's tutorial. In today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how to cut and sew this beautiful straight skirt with a side ruffle. The one at the left side is the inspiration and the one at the right side is the one I recreated. So if this is something you're interested in, then keep up watching. So this is the fabric I'm going to be using. I can't actually tell how many yards it is because I've already gone ahead to make a top from it. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold it into two, just like I can see me doing. So after folding it, I just went ahead to iron it. This is folded into two. I'm going to be cutting the front first before the back. So I'll go ahead and mark a straight line across, which is going to be served as the starting guide. From that line, I will mark my hip line, which is 10.5 inch. So I'll mark my hip line. Sometimes your hip line might not be 10.5 inch. Just go ahead and measure from your waist to your hip line so that you know how many inches it is. So from that line I marked this up line, I will place my tape like this and measure the full length I want my skirt to be. So if you want yours to be as long as the one I showed you guys as the inspiration, you can go ahead and make use of the full length of this material. But for me, I didn't want mine to be as long as that, so I just went ahead to measure where I want mine to get to. So that is what I'm currently doing. So I'll go ahead and mark a straight line across like this. So I didn't want mine to even get to the knee, so I wanted it to be like it's a quarter. So I will come to the waistline over here. I will divide my waist measurement by 4. I will mark the points there. Then we add 2.5 inch joining allowance and also that allowance. So I will come to the hip line here. I will divide my hip by 4. I will mark it over there and I will add my sewing allowance. So from there I will go ahead, I will come to this down area like this. I will go ahead and minus 1 inch from the hip. So whatever I get, I will mark it and I also add my sewing allowance. So I've gone ahead to mark it. So what I'm going to be doing next is to go ahead and connect the points together using my ruler like this. So I'll use my straight ruler to mark a straight line from the hip line to the skirt length. So once I was done, the next thing is to go ahead and cut it out. So I'll just go ahead and cut it out like this. So if you are watching me, please subscribe if you're yet to subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to like this video and leave your comment. If you have any question, feel free to ask me. This is it. I've gone ahead to cut it. So I'll go ahead and fold my fabric into two again. It's time to cut the back. So this side that is folded into two, like this side that is closed, is where I'm going to be using for the zipper allowance. This place here is where I'm going to be using for the zipper allowance. So I'll just go ahead and iron it down. So before placing the front fabric, I will just go ahead and mark 1.5 inch inward, which is going to be serving as the zipper allowance. I will just connect the lines together like this. So I'll mark a straight line for the zipper allowance. This is it. So I'll place the front fabric on it like this. From that line I just marked, I will place my skirt on it. Then I will pin it down. Then I'll go ahead and cut it out like this. So please pay attention so that if you have any question, you feel free to ask me. So once I was done, we'll go ahead and divide the zipper allowance for the back. I'll just open it like this. Then the next thing, I will remove the pin. I remove the front from the back. I will separate it. So the next thing is to go ahead and use it to cut out the lining. So I'll just go ahead and cut out the lining. So for the lining, I will come to the lining, the down here like this. I will minus 1 inch from the lining. Then I will connect the points together. I will cut it out. Another way to also do it is to fold your fabric up like this with 1 inch or 1.5 inch. Then go ahead and cut it. I will also go ahead and cut out for the front as well. I've already gone ahead to cut out for the front. I will open my fabric for the front like this. I will place the lining on it like this. So I'm currently placing the lining on the front. So I'll go ahead and pin it down first because I'm going to be sewing it down. So make sure your lining is at the front of your material. So after pinning it, I will take to the same machine and sew it with 1/2 inch. Once I'm done sewing it with 1/2 inch, then this up, which is the waistline, you can see that is not equal. Hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying. It's not equal. So I will go ahead and drag it like this. I will pin it. So if you're a beginner, I advise you go ahead and pin it from the start to the end first unit. So I will take it to the same machine now, so it's from the waistline down like this, down to this other side. But make sure you first of all sew the down first before you sew the waistline. Or go ahead and sew the down first, then I will go ahead and sew this other side once I'm done sewing the first place I showed you guys. I will do the same thing for the back. So I've gone ahead to sew it. Once I was done sewing it, I went ahead to turn it out to the right side. So after I was done sewing it, this is how it looked like. So I'll go ahead and iron it out. I will iron both the front and the back because I've gone ahead to sew the two. So once I was done ironing it, this is how it looked like. So I went ahead to fold it into two, then iron the center first. So let me just turn it like this. After I was done ironing the center, I went ahead to fold it into two like this. I measured 4 inch, which is half of my nipple to nipple measurement. So that is going to be the space on my dart from the waistline down to the length. I went ahead to measure 4 inches, then iron it down to have this gator so that it will be very easy for me to sew my dart. So I'm just going to go ahead and pin the waist like this before sewing the dart. So I will fold it in like this. I will come to the waistline. I will measure ½ inch, then I will measure 6 inches. So for the dart, I will just go ahead and connect it like this and sew it with just the same way I mark it. That is how I'm going to sew it for the two sides, for the front and also for the back. So for the back, I went ahead to iron 1 inch in for the zipper allowance. They also want to fold it like this and measure 4 inches. So it's the same thing. What you do for the front is what we are going to be doing for the back. But before you do that for the back, make sure you iron in 1 inch for your zipper allowance. So I've gone ahead to sew the dart, and I also went ahead to match the top like this. So first of all, sew the dart before you sew the up. The next is to go ahead and join the back together like this. I'm about to go and sew it. So I'll go ahead and join the back together. I will pin it like this, just like as you can see me doing. So I will measure where I want my zip to stop for the waist. So I will mark 6 inches because I'm going to be adding 1.5 inches band around the waistline. So from that point I mark, I will place my tape on it like this down to the skirt length, this down here. I will fold my tape into two like this. Please just watch out what I'm doing. I will mark a point there. So I will take to the same machine and sew it from here to this point. So the down side is going to be the terry at the back. So I'll just go ahead and sew it. So I've gone ahead to sew it. This is how it look like, as you can see. So this is it. So the next thing is to add the side ruffles, right? So this is a piece that I went ahead to cut out. So this piece is 7 inches wide, and I'm just going to go ahead and measure the length of the piece. This is 1 yard. This is 2 yards. 2 yards and 20 inches. So I wanted to cut out 2 separate pieces for the 2 sides. Okay, this is it, the same length. I also wanted to cut out lining for it. So for the one we are using, the picture we are using, they did not lining this ruffle, but for me I wanted to lining it because this material is too light in weight. So I wanted to cut out the lining. I'm just going to go ahead and place my fabric on the lining like this. I'll go ahead and sew the edge, sew the sides like this. Then I will also sew this other edge here like this, but I will not sew this side. I will not sew it. Okay, so I've gone ahead to sew it for the 2 sides, and I also wanted to give it a very good press. This is how it look like. So the next is to go ahead and gather it. I don't know how you do your gather, but for my machine you cannot like sew it then drag the rope. So I just wanted to do it the way I normally do my gather. So if you want me to make a video on how to do a gather on your machine, let me know. So this are the 2 pieces, the 2 ruffles for the 2 sides. Okay, so the next thing now is to go ahead and open your skirt, the front side, not the back, the front. Go ahead and measure from the waistline down to the skirt length, just so you to know if the gather you did is enough to go around the skirt. So one was enough while the other one was too long, so I went ahead to regather it again just to make it equal. So from this waistline, I will go ahead and measure the waistline. So divide your waist by 2 because I've gone ahead to sew the back. So from that waistline, I will measure my hip length. I will place my tape on the hip like this. I will divide my hip by 2. So my hip is 44. 44 divided by 2 is 22. So I have extra almost 4 inches allowance left. That 4 inches I will divide it into 2. I will mark 2 inches here. I will mark 2 inches on the other side. So I will come to the down area here, the down side. I will minus 2 inches from my hip measurement. My hip is 44. 44 minus 2 is 42. 42 divided by 2 is going to give me 21. So I will measure what I have at the down area here. So what I have here is more than 21. So the remaining one, I will divide it into 2. I'll mark the allowance on both sides, that is the left and the right, just like the same way you shaping your clothes. So from there, I'll go and connect. I will use my ruler to connect all the points together, just like as you can see me doing on both sides. Okay, so I'll go ahead and place my ruffle on it. The right side would be facing the right side of the fabric, okay, like this. So place it on it like this, while the wrong side will be facing up. Come down by ½ inch from the waistline before you start pinning your ruffle, because you're going to be attaching belts on your skirt, so you need space to attach your belt. I'll go ahead and pin it down like this. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Then I'll take it to the sewing machine and sew it like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and pin for the other side. Okay, I'll pin this other side. So I'll take to the sewing machine and sew it. So guys, I've gone ahead to sew it. So I will go ahead and flip the ruffle inside like this. So just go ahead and flip it inside. There I will place the back part of the skirt to cover it up. So please take note and see how I flip the ruffle inside first before placing the back part of the skirt. So I'll go ahead and pin it down using my pin. I'll just pin it down from the waistline down to the end of the skirt like this. So once I was done, I will flip it to the front part just like this. So you're going to see where I sew the ruffle before the line. This is the line. So I will take to the sewing machine and follow that same line. I will sew it from the start to the end. Or you can also go ahead and retake your measurements just to be sure that the line is accurate, or if it's not, you can redraw it again. So let's go and sew it together. So this is me sewing it following the first line. So go ahead and do the same thing. And don't forget to subscribe if you are yet to subscribe to this channel. Like, and if you have any question, feel free to ask me. I have a lot of tutorial on my channel. Go and check it out. So this is it. I've gone ahead to sew it. Okay, so this is how beautiful it is. The next thing I'm going to be doing now is to go ahead and cut the waistband. So before I do that, I will go ahead and measure the waist of this skirt so that I will know the total measurement of band I will be cutting. But the band, I don't want it to be more than 1.5 inches wide. I went ahead to cut it out of my fabric, and this is the band. So for the band, I went ahead to gum cloth stain on it just to make it firm. Then I went ahead to fold in ½ inch on both sides. Then I went ahead to fold it into 2 like this. So the total wideness of this is 1.5 inch. So I'll go ahead and fold it back like this and sew it like this with ½ inch on both sides. Okay, so this is me sewing it. I will do the same thing for the other side. So once I was done, I will go ahead and attach it to my skirt. I'll go ahead and fold my skirt into 2 and mark the center at the front. I hope you guys just saw what I did. Then I'll go ahead and turn it to the back like this. Then I will take my belt and place the right side facing the lining. This right side is facing the lining. So I'll place the center, because I also want to notch the center of the belt. I'll go ahead and pin it to the center of the skirt first. I will start sewing it from that center. I'll go ahead and sew it down like this. It will end around the zip at the back. Then I'll go ahead and sew the other side. I'll flip it like this and sew the other side. So once I was done, I will flip the skirt to the front like this. So after turning it to the front, at this point, this is how it look like. I'll go ahead and fold it in like this and start sewing. So if you've been making trousers before, I believe you should be used to this, because if you are sewing trousers, that is how you will close it, okay, to avoid roughness. So I'll go ahead and flip it inside, pin it down first. Then we'll start sewing it. So at this time, you're going to be sewing it at the front. Can you see what I'm doing? So the back will be neat, the front will be neat. So you start sewing it close to the edge around the front, down. So you can see that the back is neat and the front is neat. The next thing is to go ahead and attach my zip on it. So once I was done attaching the zip, this is the skirt. So for the tearing for the back, I went ahead to use hemi gum to hem it. Then you can see the tearing is very neat. I went ahead to use hemi gum to hem it to the body of this. The tutorial on how I cut and also sew the top is already up on my YouTube channel. So if you're interested in seeing it, do wait to click on my videos or my playlist. You will see cutting and sewing playlist. Click on it and watch my tutorials. Alright, so we come to the end of today's video. See you on my next video. Bye, and don't forget to subscribe and like.